Alright, look at this expression, x squared minus 3y squared plus 5xy squared minus all the second part, negative x squared y plus 3xy squared minus 3y squared. Basically what they want us to do is simplify this huge expression and see which the answer choices is equivalent. Cool. It lagged a little bit, I apologize. 3y squared plus 5xy squared minus all of this perfect. Well, notice this minus sign here. We have to distribute this minus sign to each part of this term. Just going to rewrite this part here. Now, a minus, so negative times a negative. That means it is a positive. So positive x squared y. A negative times a positive, that will be a negative, negative 3xy squared. And then finally, a negative times a negative is a positive. Perfect. Now let's look at this. Alright, let's combine like terms now and see what we got. So we have 1 x squared y and another one. That means we'll have two of them. And what else we got here? Let me get different color. Well, we have this right here, negative 3y squared and positive 3y squared. That actually cancels. And then finally, this last part here, we got a 5xy squared and negative 3xy squared. That'll be a 2xy squared. Well, looks like the answer will be C. Oh, gosh. Answer would be C. Perfect. Alright, looking at this next one now. If x minus 1 over 3 equals k, and k equals 3, what is the value of x? So we get this equation, x minus 1 over 3, and that equals k. And we want to know, what is x? Well, thankfully, it looks like we had two unknowns, but we actually have one unknown, because 3 is the same thing as k. Therefore, we can now just solve for x. Okay, how do we get x by itself here? Well, notice if we multiply both sides here by 3, again both sides because whatever you do to one side you do to the other, I'll have x minus 1 equals 9, which we pretty much just solve for x now by just adding 1, and x will be 10. Moving on, for I is equal to the square root of negative 1, what is the sum of 7 plus 3i plus negative 8 plus 9i? This one, they actually give you some, I want to say useless information, but information you actually don't need. For example, in this question, we actually don't need to know that I is equal to the square root of negative 1. We only need to know that if we're taking some quadratic functions and factoring them and end up with a negative root, or if we end up having I squared. In this case, if we want to find the sum of this expression here, well, honestly, we could just add the like terms. So, what do we got here? We have a 7 and a negative 8. Obviously, that is negative 1. And then we have a 3i and a 9i. Don't get freaked out by the I. Think of it as an x. Think of it as a dummy variable. The 3i and the 9i. What was 3x plus 9x? Be 12x. But in this case, we'll just say I, which would be the answer to A. Perfect.